All right. Our last big discussion I want to make sure we talk about is, again, like with Star Wars, you are our wrestling guru, and I kind of try to keep up on the news part of it because there's so much news coming out, especially right now. We had the TKO merger. For those at home who aren't familiar with it fully, can you explain what's going on with that?
Yeah, so the company that owns UFC, they're called Endeavor.
Mhm.
They bought WWE. They own 51% of WWE. Um, so and they merged the two companies, UFC and WWE, into one company under TKO Holdings, which
Hmm.
money this, money that, money the other thing.
Right.
It's basically a way Vince McMahon owns 49% of the company. They own the other 51. They have the final say on everything. He has creative control, and hiring, firing, all that stuff is all on him as long as he's doing what they want. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan. Not only with that happening, but all the TV deals are being renegotiated right now. I believe
Yes.
I had heard that SmackDown, WWE's second show, was just had a massive deal with Fox like 4 years ago. That deal has ended, and it's now like 1.2 billion dollars to go back for one show to go back weekly to the USA Network, who
Hmm.
already has Raw and NXT, which is WWE's other two weekly TV shows. It's just insane. The fact that NXT used to be a 1 hour show on the WWE network, so it wasn't even on cable TV, is now a
Yeah.
2 hour show on USA that for, I don't know, almost 2 years was competing with AEW neck and neck on on Wednesday night every week until they moved it to Tuesday night, and have their flagship show every Monday night, which is already an over $1 billion deal for them with USA. It's just the amount of money that they're getting out of this is insane. AEW has been just the existence of All Elite Wrestling has been such a boon to professional wrestling fans and to professional wrestlers that there's just more eyes and more money in the industry than ever before. And it's a great time to be a fan, great time to be a talent.
Yeah, it's something else. I think for some people who might not be aware of how big wrestling is, might not realize how big the fandom is, how much money is being circled around in this industry, and the fans how how much of a fever pitch there is for the shows. With All Elite Wrestling, do you think that there's enough to go around, or do you feel like the fandom split between the two, or is it like I'm only an AEW fan, I'm only WWE?
So, you know how there's tribalism in video games? Like, there's the
Mhm.
Call of Duty guys, and
Xbox and
there's the,
oh yeah,
yeah. Okay, Xbox and PlayStation. That's a better metaphor for it. That is absolutely the case with wrestling right now, and has been for 4 years. I personally don't watch WWE, and it's not because I don't like the wrestlers. I love a lot. Most of my favorite or a lot of my favorite wrestlers are in WWE. It's more of just a personal preference thing.
Mhm.
They had too much to watch every week, so I was losing it. Also didn't care for a lot of the business practices of the McMahon family. Not a big fan of them personally.
Understandable.
So I watch AEW, but I don't deny the existence of WWE like a lot of people do the other way around. There's hardcore tribalism on both sides, and it's very frustrating to watch, but it also helps generate the kind of buzz. Like, when is the last time that you've seen anything wrestling related and it didn't have the words CM Punk attached to it?
That's the next thing is CM Punk. That name alone makes you think like, what's he up to now? What's going on? He just moved sides, correct?
Oh my
Was
god! So little bit of backstory. He was fired from WWE back in, I want to say 2014, 2015, somewhere in
right.
there. He left wrestling for 7 years. He tried UFC. He was kind of sucked from what I've
Mm.
seen. He was not great at MMA. So when it was rumored that Tony Khan, the guy that started All Elite Wrestling, had signed CM Punk to a deal, it was this massive thing that just gathered so many eyes to. They launched a second show for CM Punk at the time. Like,
Yeah.
Rampage debuted and CM Punk was on the second episode of Rampage. And it just started off with just his music playing, Cult of Personality. And it was this
Hmm.
thing. It was just this monstrous mainstream thing. And fast forward through couple years of backstage fights and all the
Oh yeah.
politicking and creating. They created a third show for CM Punk because after he got in a backstage fight with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, who are the elite behind all Elite Wrestling, they're called the Elite. They helped create the company. There was a backstage fight with them, with all of those guys. They created another show on TNT that CM Punk was supposed to be like. It was a soft roster split. CM Punk's people could be on one show, the Elite's people could be on another show. Keep it all separate.
God.
What do you think's gonna come out of that? Trying to keep everybody separate, especially when
Yeah.
once every few months there's a pay per view where everybody comes together. Biggest pay per view of pro wrestling history, AEW All In Wembley. There was another backstage fight with CM Punk. He gets fired from this one. So now there's talks that he's going back to WWE, who said that they both. Oh my God, it's just it's insane the amount of people who have already come out from WWE saying they don't want to work with CM Punk because of his track record, not just in AEW but from WWE, his first
Yeah.
run in the company. Like, it's just there's so many people, but you can never say never, and that's the craziest thing right now is the fact that there's rumors that he's signing with WWE again after he got
Yeah.
fired from the company on his wedding day, and all the McMahon family don't like him. Triple H, who's the head of creative, said he'd never say never, but probably never. Like, the two world champions in WWE don't want to work with him, but
That's
there's
great.
it's so much money involved that he's probably going to do it.
What I love is the most real part about wrestling sounds so soap opera and fake. Like,
It does.
well, the thing about CM Punk, like as again a glancing fan, you probably most recognize him for his press conferences that are just like, how the hell is this guy still got a job kind of thing, and but that's what gets people to watch his shows, and so that's why that Vince McMahon, hate him or love him, sees the money opportunity of bringing in somebody that's so bombastic. And yeah, I just he's definitely going to be going somewhere for sure. I'm surprised he's not staying with All Elite Wrestling. You've got to be a big problem to be pushed away after all they've given you.
Well, after AEW signed him, Vince McMahon went on record saying he's their problem now. Like, he was like, good, fine. Like, I
Yeah.
got this guy out of my hand, out of my hair. Apparently, it's just a thing that was expected with him, and it just got a little too much for Tony Khan to be able to keep him around. So he's gone.
Okay, so is he so good, or is it just that his fans are so dedicated to him? Why is he still needed?
So in his original run with both in Ring of Honor before he joined WWE in the first place, and that initial first run in WWE, his character was just a punch to the gut in pro wrestling. Like, there was no competition. That was after WCW had sold to Vince. There was
Yeah.
no televised competition except for TNA. That the product had gotten so stale. And here's this guy claiming to be the voice of the voiceless. He's this he basically had a messiah character that he had a cult following him around, and I don't know, he just got to be bigger than pro wrestling itself, to
Mhm.
the point where the company didn't like him. He wasn't like the Hulk Hogan or John Cena or The Rock. Like, he wasn't the company manufactured man. He's the Brian Danielson. He's CM Punk, man. He's the guy that
Yeah.
the crowd got behind, despite the company not pushing him to be that guy.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Was this
he
during the
got to
Roman
be.
Reyes like beginning when like they were really pushing him to be the next big company man?
It was before that, actually.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
they ended up pushing him toward the end of CM Punk's time in WWE. But yeah, it's he got to be so big that everybody that's our age that watches pro wrestling follows him like
Yeah.
he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like, it's I don't know. I've never been a big fan of CM Punk. I respect what he's done for the
What he's doing.
business, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't personally feel that way about him, but I understand how people do. He's an appealing presence.
Because the 90s was like the like not the heyday, but it was wrestling became mainstream, I think, in my opinion. And then I bet after that, after some of the names went aside, then what do you do? So then Vince McMahon's trying to manufacture that vibe again. And then you got this guy that's like, yeah, well, you know what? Screw that. I mean, I'm almost rooting for him all of a sudden just from you told me about him. Yeah. Okay. What about this is totally off topic almost. Fogel, like Cactus Jack, was he ever kind of that kind of CM Punk status, or was he also kind of manufactured in a way?
I think he was a good combination of both. Honestly,
Okay.
like he's just a fun loving guy, but he
Yeah.
also loved doing whatever it took to get the job done in the ring to make the fans happy. Like
Yeah.
the McMahons loved him and he loved it, so it was kind of both. Fans
Okay.
loved him too.
He was one of those back in the day. Like I was a big Rikishi fan, of course, The Rock, who didn't like The Rock, and whatever. And there were times where I was even a Triple H fan. What the hell? But he was one of those guys that is like he would come in and was like, no matter what, everybody was rooting for him, no matter what side of the fight he was on, whose side he was on, because there's like, oh, he's the honest one. He's actually out there because he's known for being bloody during these barbed wire matches and stuff like that. So yeah, now I know he's like podcasting and stuff like that. He's keeping busy in other ways, but yeah, it's pretty cool. That's neat. Anything else we need to know from the state of wrestling right now? Because I know there's like a lot going on right now. Is there any other big stories that we need to know about?
Nothing that big. Jade Cargill is in WWE now. The one thing that I did want to mention about Jade Cargill is that she was the first, I guess the second person to jump ship from AEW to WWE, but she's the first one that was not a star before AEW. Cody Rhodes being the
Oh wow,
first. Because
that
Cody
gives
Rhodes
more
helped start
legitimacy to
AEW.
AEW then, because then they're producing stars worthy of WWE. Okay.
Yes, and it was a big get for WWE to get somebody that AEW wanted to keep as badly as they did. And it wasn't even a money thing with her. She's married to an MLB player, I believe.
Oh
So
wow.
like they didn't need the money at all. It was more of a she had Cody Rhodes going to bat for her. WWE's the biggest company, so why not go to where the more eyes are? Like it totally makes sense why she jumped ship. But then you have the guy who used to be Edge, Adam Copeland, just
Oh
left
yeah.
WWE and signed with AEW. So it's the exact opposite. This guy who's already been a world champion numerous times, he had to retire once because of injuries, came back from retirement a couple years ago, and is now in this relatively new company trying to help them out because it's a new challenge for him trying to help
Yeah.
build this new company up. So the same time that this new wrestler jumps ship to the big company, get someone who's established from the big company jumping ship. It's all exciting. I love seeing these pay-per-views that AEW puts up because every pay-per-view is almost every pay-per-view there's a new debut. And it's like,
Mhm.
holy shit, I totally expected it, but it's still awesome.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
I think what we need to do, hear me out on this. I think we need to have like a wrestling corner once a month or about once every 2 months where you fill us in on what's going on. I think that's probably our best bet
I
because
could
there's a
do
lot
that.
going on. I try to keep up on the news because I joke around about it in our Discord, but like if if you post anything about wrestling, boy, it does triple as good on social media than it does anything else. Just because again, the fans are so hungry for any little content they can get. Um, Going back to the console wars though, I got a question for you. AEW, WWE, which one's Xbox, which one's PlayStation?
WWE is probably PlayStation because it was the established company. AEW is the edgy product. Um, I I don't know how else to really compare it. Like PlayStation's been around for a lot longer. WWE's been around for a lot longer.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of feel
Xbox,
like Xbox fans feel like they're a little bit more scrappy in a way, like they're
yeah,
because Xbox always gets overshadowed by PlayStation. But on the other
yeah,
side of that, it's like, yeah, but Xbox also has like everything else Microsoft, which is like WWE kind of like has, yeah, but we have the lunch boxes and stuff too. So it's kind of like you could really kind of flip that around probably both ways in a way. But yeah,
yeah. I honestly think that AEW probably has more money though, to be honest, because it's
really,
owned. They're owned by Shad Khan, who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Tony Khan,
okay,
who is the main owner of, I think, Fulham Football Club.
I see. So
So
yeah,
like they're already in sports and have tons of money.
yeah, okay, and it feels like it's more sports purist and less.
Yeah.
I
Well,
hate
that
Vince
would
McMahon.
make
If
it
I could
more
be
of Sony.
honest.
That would make what's
Yeah,
that?
that's I hate Vince McMahon so much. Like I don't I just he bugs me so much. Even as somebody who doesn't
You're fired.
he's such a jackass, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest. But that's the point. He you're supposed to not like him. That's kind of his gimmick, really. So
Yeah.
yeah. He does good at
AEW is
it.
a scrappy underdog, and they're kicking ass. That's all I gotta say about that.
You guys got to get on wrestling because this is a good time to do it. Unfortunately WWE just laid off a ton of wrestlers, but
That's the
sounds like
other
it. A does, but yeah, I did a whole post about it, and then people were pissed off because I mispronounced one of the names. Holy shit! Um,
I gotta
again,
know which name. I
hungry
didn't see that
fans.
video.
Yeah. Oh man, people were pissed. Um, and so, but yeah, nevertheless, hopefully they get picked up by AEW since it sounds like they're open for business over there.